Good evening, folks. And I didn't realize Miss Courtney was going to show up right. I threw her name in the end of that too. So
that's okay. I just got your message now, and I just came in from my garden, so
worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
So good evening, folks. We have a whopping few people so far. Let's see. We have me. We've got Al. Me again. We got Gil. There's Michael. Gray Man Prepping. He's a secret identity. We got Kaylin Strain. We've got
Hey, Gray Man Prepping.
Hi,
everybody.
Courtney. It's not who you think it is.
Oh, okay.
No, this is Gray, spelled Gray. It's been around for quite a few years. If you notice the little icon on there, that's usually it used to have a different name on there, and it usually said the comment was, "It's the evil twin."
Oh, okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
And we've got creative. Go out and create something is his famous words. We got Texas Rob, Gardner Josh, disabled and prepping, Howie. Howie, if you have time and are up to it, we can get you up here on the panel as well. I think that's everybody at the moment.
Okay. Disabled and prepping.
Yep, I said that.
Okay.
Hi, Heidi.
I'm just trying to keep up to say hi, everybody.
Fish and loaves.
Well, Carol's here.
Yep.
Did I miss back up there farther?
We'll give everybody a chance to catch up on their chit chats there, because it's been a minute since we all said hello.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hello.
Okay, I'm caught up to everybody, I think. Okay, and here's the post.
Hey, Gardner Josh. What's up, everybody?
So can I do a shameless plug real quick?
I guess.
All right, guys. I'm finally bringing my other channel, which had some videos on it, up to full speed. It's the Gray Man Prepping there that I've used for numerous years under. I just the icon on there. You've seen the icon. Usually it says I put in evil twin, but I'm going to start doing all my less than YouTube friendly prepping videos, such as active shooter, home invasion, and stuff over on that channel over there. So those should start coming out here in the next week or two. So that's going to be like Brett Broussard Homestead has Cajun Prep Sitter for his more rowdy stuff. I got this here to keep my the camp pet and the family compound family friendly.
Who's barking?
It's my dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're obnoxious.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to keep them quiet. Just point the camera at them, and they're like, "Uh-oh." Like the chickens, run away.
Exactly.
Well, I had a dog that would just sit there and look at it, then try and eat it. So, excuse me. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be discussing food when it's not at the store. So most of us already plant in some form or another. I'm growing a compost pile. Does that count for much?
That's a start.
Yeah, that's a start.
Well, that's all I can do at the moment because there's, a lot of stuff in the yard we got to get rid of first. But that being said, I do have knowledge, and knowledge is half the battle. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss ways to find food when there ain't nothing at the store. That means wild edibles, growing your own stuff. And that's why Miss Courtney's up here, because she got that whole gardening thing down pat. Or at least she pretends really well, and we all believe it.
Yeah, that garden that you see out there, that's nothing. That's just green screen.
You do a really good job. I've taught you well.
And
yes, we will have moments of levity in here, because even though the discussion is somewhat of a serious nature, if you can't find something to laugh at and keep it somewhat upbeat, then it gets very dry, dull, and boring quick, and then nobody pays attention.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you can see by the first slide, course, I can't see it very well. Hold on. Wow.
Which
It's
one
nice
are you
having two
pointing to?
monitors. I get to see everything now, and I can read it. So some of them is amaranth, asparagus, burdock, cattail. Most people swear up and down that there's nothing of this that's edible. Oh, it's a
no, you
nasty
can walk
weed.
with that. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people also mess up on cattails because they don't know how to eat it.
Very
You
true.
put hot dog, you put mustard on it, eat it like a corn dog.
Lord,
We're supposed to be giving them information to help them live, not kill them off.
Well, that was the levity part, you know.
I can't
Okay.
imagine eating that fuzzy part at the top.
yeah,
Oh,
they
man.
Well, you know
use
what?
No way.
But there's
Oh.
one thing about cattail that most people forget is if you wait until that decides to bloom, all that fuzzy stuff makes one heck of a fire starter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It takes almost no spark at all, and that stuff will light right up on fire. And if you get 8 or 10 of those and you make a nice little bird's nest out of it, some twigs, you have no problem getting a fire going. So when you're out foraging and you run across a pond or a little shallow water area and there's lots of cattails, take out a Ziploc baggie. You should always have a couple extra and stuff it full of cattail fluff. It's a great fire starter.
right. Or if you get the whole thing, the whole top, that brown part, and if it's dry and with the stem, you tie it to a stick, a hickory stick. I recommend not use the cattail stalk, soak it in tallow or lard, and you got a torch for the night because it will burn bright.
Hey, I didn't say nothing about taking the pitchforks out and going out hunting Frankenstein down now. Anywho, we got clover, chicory, chickweed. I mean, as you can see, this has got several. And, this is more for the desert climates.
Oh, we got prickly pear here in Ohio, and I actually had one in my front yard. It has these beautiful yellow flowers on it. Absolutely.
And it survives the winter.
Yep, survives the winter.
Whoa.
It's hardcore stuff, and it will spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
And, you cannot pick it up or weed around it. I had a hell of a time like weeding and stuff around it, and you have to use newspapers actually to pick it up. And you could just take a little piece of it on the end and put it in the ground, and it will start a whole nother piece. Yeah, they're really, it's really cool.
Yeah, don't hit it with the weed whacker. You'll spread it all over the place.
Oh, yeah. And
True.
they have two different types of prickers on them. The really long, pointy ones are visible. The other ones are just little teeny fine hairs. And you do not want those on. You can barely see them, and they hurt.
Right. Folks,
So in other words, go ahead,
Go ahead.
Al. No, go ahead.
if you're going to eat the fruit and you don't know about those tiny little hairs, you're going to scream all night.
So in other words, for the prepper-minded section of the classroom to this evening, that would also make a great ground deterrent for the two-legged type. If you can get enough of a carpet of this around your area, they're going to have a heck of a time getting to you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's Uncle Al, I'm going to pick them up and cook them.
It also makes a really good cup. So you can cut it off and hollow it out on the inside, eat the insides, and then you can put water in it or, stuff like that. It makes a good cup.
One thing that most people misidentify is purslane. Most people see it growing in the cracks of their sidewalks and forget totally about that 90% of that plant is edible. Just like dandelions. 90% of that plant is edible. You can make dandelion honey, dandelion wine, dandelion jellies, make salads. Purslane's kind of in the same boat. And sheep's route, white mustard. Everybody needs those mustards. So we'll go over here to the next one. Now, if you're living down in Aussie land, there's stuff down here too. And if you notice, some of it's pretty much the same thing. So, if you're looking for things, then you need books. And a few more. Don't worry, I've only got a few slides, folks. Let me catch chat real quick. Okay, looks good so far. And seeing as how most of us live here in North America, Land of the Confederacy. Land of the Semi-Free. This book would be good for most everybody. Another book. Everybody's favorite fungus. And here's a few other ones. Oh, shush, Gil. You like it. You just don't want
I
nobody
don't
to
like
know.
mushrooms either, Gil. I mean, I'm willing to try. I am willing to try them. But
Maura,
it's
these
not
would be the
something I
ones to
just go
try
out
right
and
here.
wanna eat.
Right. And those are the easiest.
And these have the best flavor.
Right. Maccabee just picked up a whole belt load of the good big ones. Now you have to be careful on mushrooms because there's a deadly lookalike if you don't know what you're looking for.
Hence, get books.
Yeah. And get a guide who knows what he's doing. You don't want to be in a hospital.
And as you can see, there's a few up here that are different from the other ones. Like this one right here, stinging nettles, makes a good salad. At least that's
No.
what I'm told. I'm not going to try it, but
No, stinging nettles will make rope. You can make a tea out of it. If you're doing the salads, you have to burn off the needles first. That means purge.
that's why you need the cattail. So you got the homemade torch to burn the needles off, the nettles.
Nettles, you could eat stinging nettles. You just got to know how to make it. And I know how to make a fine nettle soup with butter.
And here's another book.
And Peterson's.
And that's the end of the slides.
Hey.
Yay. Now, see, back here somewhere in this collection of misprinted items, I have a guide to medicinal herbs, which is another thing you need to consider too when you're, excuse me, worrying about foraging. So you can find the things you need to eat and their medicinal purposes as well. And Howie says, boil your nettles.
Yep. Howie's right.
Mm-hmm.
The other problem with, I forget, what were we talking about? Nettles and ferns. Ferns, on the fiddlehead ferns, you have to pick them at the right time because if you pick them too old, they're toxic as hell. You'll find out when you're peeing green. No, I mean you will pee green, and then you have to go to the hospital because it's not what was the chemical formula? It's some kind of bromide that comes off of the fiddlehead.
Mm.
So you have to be really careful, folks.
Yeah, and you can't just eat them raw either. You have to cook.
No. Never eat those things raw.
Hence the reason why we're trying to discuss these things. Because if somebody who is uneducated runs out and says, oh, I heard this on a live stream, that was edible, and grabs it and eats it, well, they may be in for a rude awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Gil remembers when I chewed out Purple Princess. Oh, this smells like a marshmallow. I'll stick this whole plant in my mouth. It doesn't taste like a marshmallow. Of course not. You're chewing on one of the things that killed Socrates. You're chewing on wild hemlock.
Did she end up going to the hospital?
No, she spit it out really quick because it was a live stream. Because I said, you're chewing on wild hemlock. And she's like, what? That was funny.
Well, wild hemlock also in the wild, it looks like wild carrots. So you can easily get them confused too.
Right, but there are also bigger ones in California that are relative to the wild hemlock, and that I would not even go near.
Yeah.
Howie confirms water hemlock will give you the skull and crossbones or Jolly Roger over your head. You will look like a video game symbol.
Yep. Water hemlock is totally poisonous. Wild hemlock or yellow hemlock or white hemlock will make you sick as hell. Then you die.
Oh.
It depends on if you ingest it. It smells like marshmallows. No, don't eat that.
Too late. Oh.
Well, Dave, I think it's time to do the disclaimer. Anything you hear on tonight's broadcast, you want to verify through your own research to make sure you are eating the right thing.
Yeah, don't just
You're
go.
not responsible for you picking up the wrong thing and eating the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
Training is what you need. This is just to get you aware so you go look for training.
Go buy books. Not just one book, not just 2 books. Get 4 or 5 books. And as with any kind of research for any subject, be it food, religion, politics, whatever, you want to take and do as much research so you can verify each point that's being made by somebody. And if you see anywhere where that one point that, let's say, 3 out of the 5 books you get says this plant's good, the other 2 books tell you, hey, look, there's a severe side effect that nobody talks about. You may want to take note of that side effect that those other 2 books are talking about. So if you get just one book, there may be something that nobody knew back 30 years ago when that book was written, that science has finally proven, hey, this is what causes that to happen. So you want to make sure you understand what you're doing. Get a couple old books, because there's stuff in the older books, because that's what the one is over here is an older book. It's 35 years old. And there's newer books that said, hey, this symptom that nobody could understand actually came from eating this plant. Where that book says it's okay, the newer books say you really shouldn't do that, because this, if you eat too much of it, is what causes this to happen.
Now, also because Dave and Courtney, I always misspell your name, Courtney. They have a class in Ohio State for 8 to 6 weeks. You could take it online, and it'll teach you different kinds of wild edibles.
Oh, I didn't even take it online. That's cool. I would totally do that.
Because, like I tell people, can you tell the difference between chickweed and surge?
I can. Now, surge is purple.
Yeah.
And see, this the whole point. I mean, most of us that are here right now have a very good understanding of what we're talking about.
All right, here's that plant that Howie's talking about. You just Googled it, and yeah, so there's there's a lot of variants around, but yeah, you got to know which one to what you can and can't eat. So you got to don't just say, this is the Home Depot sold this for in my yard. It must be safe to eat. No.
Okay, on that same note, I seen a cat poop in a litter box out in the yard. I mean, that's safe to eat. I mean, it's outside in the dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, just because it's outside in the dirt doesn't mean it's safe or right to eat it.
Yeah.
I know that was kind of an extreme way to put it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, and a lot of, because I am not a forager by all means, I do study a lot. But what I do is I go to sites where I can actually grow it myself and get seeds. So I know exactly what I am growing and what I had planted in my beds. So I have horehound and valerian root and stuff like that. And I know I planted it, and I know where it is and where it came from.
And Kaylin brings up a good point. Let's say worst case scenario, economic collapse, EMP, whatever causes the world that we are currently living in to completely fall into an utter state of collapse. And you having to walk, that there's supplies in another town that you can walk up to, and you're walking along and, man, I'm kind of hungry. What you're walking along next to that road, you have to remember, especially in the northern states, there's salt residue from the brine and everything else during the winter months. And guess what? Down south after this year, they've got the same stuff on the side of their roads as well. Plus, every time it rains, you get all the oils and the stuff that's in the tar, plus the oils from the vehicles that have been on it, the rubber, all that stuff washes to the side of the road. So while that plant may look good, it's been fed a whole bunch of poop.
Yeah.
Right. And don't forget the weed killers and toxic, the stuff they spray on the road to keep everything down. You don't know if you're eating 2,4-D or you're eating Roundup or the other herbicide I can't mention.
Well, there's something else too to consider. In San Francisco, you have the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge comes across, and it's above probably 15 blocks of the city before, as the city slopes up, the bridge is coming across. So this area in here is land. And there's plants growing around there and stuff, and nobody's been building close to the freeway there. And there's all sorts of quote wild edibles according to people in there. Well, we were doing some work around there, and the lead levels we tested were friggin' off the chart
Yeah.
because the bridge went in back in the 30s or so. Okay, all those years that they had leaded gasoline, all of those cars going across, all the lead particles coming down, the original lead paint that was on the bridge, and you were just sandblasting it. Yeah. So yeah, you got this is the old roadways and stuff from the old lead gasoline, vapors and stuff that was all along some of the roads and stuff. And that stuff don't go away.
I'm old school. Give me an old 1971, 1969 Ford LTD, 500 twin valve engine, and a full tank of leaded gasoline. Put your foot to the floor and you burn your tires off the car in no time flat. Unlike this unleaded. Ouch.
Oops, the AI.
Yep. It didn't like that.
No. Remember, folks, we're green. We're always green.
Hence the greens in the background.
Yeah.
Okay. Like Gil and Dave says, back in the old days, they used a lot of additives in the gas. Those additives fell on those 15 acres in San Francisco. I do not recommend picking any wild edibles in that zone because, like Gil says, it has a high concentration of lead, but there's other things in the ground that I wouldn't recommend. Right, and arsenic. Remember, they used to use arsenic to clear off the scaling off the bridge.
Well, we also found in the lab reports they came up with, and this was the big kicker out. The lead had everybody freaking out, and then the chemical engineer says, "That's not the bad one. This place is loaded with asbestos."
Ooh.
Yeah, they immediately shut down the whole thing and the whole area, and they spent I don't know how many millions of dollars cleaning it up.
Right, it was a super. What was it?
It wasn't a Superfund site, but it was just because it was such a small area and stuff. But it was just no, we're cleaning it up. They scraped it all off, hauled it all off, brought in new dirt, covered up whatever they didn't haul off, and said it's clean.
Dumped it into the ocean.
Like
they sent it across to Richmond. They have a processing plant over there in Richmond, that big, huge incinerator that burns the dirt to dirt, burns everything out of it.
Yeah, like they found that big naval dump of DDT out in the ocean. Whoops, we forgot all about that.
Oh, look at that island out in New York City where all testing was done, which is where they were burying at the beginning of the Red Dragon issue. That's where they were burying people because that was the only safe place that wasn't safe.
Yeah, that
island is completely contaminated with ungodly amounts of all kinds of different things. It was a chemical testing facility that was moved to. Anybody hazard a guess to where it was moved to?
Australia?
No.
New Jersey.
New Jersey?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
Right dead center of the United States.
Oh, Iowa?
Oh, down next to Nebraska.
Oh, Nebraska.
Yes.
Will Russell's house?
It is, yeah, there's actually videos on YouTube talking about it. And it is a government facility. You cannot get close to it. There are more cameras around it than I would like around my house. Of course, I would love their surveillance system. It would be awesome because it tracks people. You walk by it and the cameras auto track you as you're walking by it.
You guys hear
There's
me
not just
all
one
right?
camera on a pole. There's like 5 cameras.
Yeah, didn't they bury people who had AIDS in the 80s? Didn't they also bury them on that island as well?
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, that island was still active for the testing. And that was psychotropic drugs. It was other chemicals. I mean, the ground out there is so contaminated. It is considered a hazardous site.
Isn't it listed as a Superfund site?
I don't know. I didn't pay any attention to that part of it.
I'm going to tack on to Howie's comment there about celery picks up all metals. So do sunflowers too. Sunflowers can clean all the metals out of your thing, but you don't want to eat the seeds for several years while it's doing its thing.
Right. Also, cattails has a bad habit picking up heavy metals in their roots. Remember, we told you, yeah, we bake cattail roots. I said, where did you get the cattail roots? That gutter near the highway. I was like, oh, God.
That's disgusting.
Okay. I'm not going to repeat what Texas Rob here wrote, but that's the place I'm talking about. Because there are certain words, and that happens to be one of them, combination thereof, that the AI looks for and says, hey, let's check out your entire video.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, we can't say that one. Sorry about that, Rob, but true, I know that.
That's the one.
Yeah. We just call it the island away from New York City.
Hey, Broussards.
It's the Broussards. Welcome.
Help myself.
Hey, Brett.
I feel special now. I got the Broussards up on my channel, Pat.
Yeah.
That's just because they're awesome.
Yeah, I know it. I've been watching them for a long time. And Howie is correct. There is an app for that. Hey, there's an app for virtually everything nowadays.
Now, folks, understand this, and Dave knows it, Gil knows it, and I think Courtney knows it, and I think I know it by heart. If we have SHTF and you're foraging, remember, it's not only you that are foraging, the animals are foraging, other people are foraging, and one of the prime big ones that's foraging 24/7, and think what people are in sleeping bags? Sandwiches. Black bears are big armor-boars. They will eat anything, including you.
Actually, they don't. Bears don't think of those as sandwiches. Those think of those as human burritos. All right, somebody's disabled prepping's asking, what's the app?
Bing, bing, bing. Here you go. Here is a list of them right there.
Several of them.
Yes. So you can, and this is one of the reasons why, as we've discussed in the past, to make sure you keep a cell phone that has, decent coverage in a Mylar bag or a, ESD type bag. So if there is a EMP, some of these apps you can actually, take pictures of things and save the information, so you can pull it up as a history. So you will always keep a history of it on that phone. That way you can always go back and check it later if you need to. Just catching up on chat here.
Prairie Rider, we don't hardly have any bears here. It's like it makes the newspaper if we get a black bear.
Oh, they're here in Ohio. They're prevalent. It's just that they're so accustomed to humans, they know to stay away.
Sorry, guys. I don't know why that keeps dinging like that.
It's your alarm saying, hey.
Or it's your notification bell.
It's Viper.
Hey, Viper.
But, the black bear issue here in Ohio is, and especially down here near Cincinnati, with as much population as there is, there's a lot of bear reports constantly. Mama bear will have a couple cubs, and then after 2 or 3 years, when the cubs finally decide to go out on their own, people see that younger bear running through their yards, and it creates a small hubbub about it. But as far as worrying about them coming up and doing something around us, no, they pretty much stay to themselves.
Yeah.
Now, when you get out to the more country or rural areas, then it can be a little bit more of an issue, depending on what you have around your home. If you're a farmer and you do your own slaughtering, then you have a better than average chance of dealing with it. Mm-hmm. If you don't do that, you don't do your own slaughtering, you don't have that kind of carcass material around, you shouldn't have to worry about it.
Of course, if you're a farmer and you do have that, you do your own slaughtering. Oh, here comes the bear. All right, we got meat from the freezer.
Or worse, you have a family of bears, 4 or 5 of them coming around like, hey, we're hungry now.
Ooh, more meat from the freezer.
I'm not sure if that's Brett or who it is, but
yeah, it is.
This one right here. I wasn't paying attention.
Just stick your phone in there and then turn it on.
No, Courtney.
But
Pros. I know
I'm
microwaves.
just playing. I'm just playing.
It has to be grounded, folks.
Generally,
No.
yeah. If you want to put your phone in some sort of Faraday quote cage, you actually want a Faraday bag or an EMP bag. Tech Protect makes the best one out there.
All right. Here's a simple dummy's guide to EMP basics. If the item you're trying to protect is not covered 360 degrees around it, the item that is inside is no longer safe. A proper Faraday cage or EMP type static bag is 360 degrees coverage around the item you're protecting. If there are holes that are bigger than, say, the size of a pencil, lead, mind you, I said lead, not the pencil itself, but the pencil lead. If a hole is bigger than that, there is a high probability an EMP will pass through it. Certain wavelengths will pass through it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to protect equipment, it needs to be in a completely 360 degree, no holes, no openings at all. So there was your dummy's guide to EMP protection.
Okay, back to the plants. Remember, folks, when you're out there, you also got to understand time of season. Courtney and Dave and Gil are still in the green season. I'm starting on my brown season, the desert. Everything in this part of California is turning brown because of the drought and lack of water. So what you see on Dave's area or Gil's area or Courtney's area, I don't have it. It's brown. How brown is it? Really brown.
If it's brown, put it down.
Yep.
And as far as the ammo can, if the ammo can is properly protected on the inside and shielded on the outside with the proper type of aluminum tape, it can work, yes. But the inside has to be rubberized. The outside has to be completely sealed with the aluminum tape that they use on ductwork. And there's different types.
That HVAC tape.
Yep.
Yeah, the shiny stuff.
Yeah.
That works
So so you could get one of those. You said the inside has to be rubberized. Could you get that spray rubber stuff and rubberize it, or it has to be actual?
I would use actual rubber.
Yeah, if you're going to use that spray stuff, you got to put several coats on to get it thick enough so you actually have a good.
It's got to be super thick. In other words, thicker than they put on a bed liner of a vehicle. And I'm sorry, Lori. Oh, wait, no, that's Jay. Jay's the one that's having audio issues. So everybody get a little bit closer to your mics and speak up a little bit.
Okay.
And by the way, Miss Courtney here by next weekend at the latest should have a nice new setup at her house.
I'm so excited. All because of you, Dave.
Well, I'm giving you the bits and pieces. You'll have to get the final components, but yeah, and if you have any problems, I'm sure Sherry and Daryl can get you set up. If not, just hit me up. Plus, there's a couple of YouTubes on that board itself too. So
okay. Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a long time since I ran a board. And when I was in radio, I did, but
I left all my settings on it. I didn't change anything. So when you plug it in, it'll be right where I've had it. So all you'll have to do is just do minor adjustments for your voice.
Okay.
The lows are turned pretty well down. The mids and highs are about where they should be. So you'll probably just have to adjust the lows.
Okay. That sounds good.
Okay. Brett, these are the GMP bags I was talking about. And you can see how big of stuff they'll fit in them. So they got, so they're different size
I
ones.
didn't know. See that one Faraday? It's only $17.95. That isn't bad. I thought they were more expensive than that.
No,
And
They can
this
be.
one, the $17.95 is 16 by 8.
So you could just slide your cell phone in there.
Oh, your cell phone will fit in the small one here for $6.95. It's 8 by 8.
Okay.
So, but guys, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you the link to this here. So let me put it in using the Evil Twin. So there's the link to it. I put it in using the Evil Twins channel. And that's my friend Ben Gilmore, who runs poweredportablesolar.com.
WD did a fine video about buying food, and if you look at the price markup, you'll die of a heart attack too.
And there is a lot of talk among the more hardcore fringe elements of the being prepared type people that are trying to do their fair share of fear porn, saying the food shortages are coming. I don't foresee, from what I'm hearing from people I know and from the truck drivers that I know. Mind you, I did it for many, many years. I know a lot of people in a lot of warehouses in a lot of different states. There are backlogs. Things are slow. I do not foresee as much of a decrease in production or delivery. Ouch.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. As long as nobody else dies. Anyway. Darn it. We lost him. Anyway, I don't see as much of a decrease in production or deliveries as we seen at this time last year. That's not to say it can't happen, but that's the reason we're bringing this up. You know, and this is predicated on the fact that it gets a whole lot worse, and you can't go to Walmart and buy your $10 worth of veggies.
Yeah.
Or your $22 worth of canned meat, or your $2 can of soup, because prices are going up.
It's ridiculous. Specific
Because what
costs are just through the roof.
Right. You know, back in December, I was spending, on the average of a week, about $80 a week in food for me and Charles. And that is eating healthy and eating full meals. That same amount now is not buying the same amount of food.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so there are shortages. It's causing price markups. And the first people are going to feel it are the people who have little to nothing at all to spend in order in the first place. So that's another reason we're trying to bring this up. There are alternatives, which is wild edibles, but you need education. You can't just run outside. Oh, hey, that looks like wild onion. Chomp, chomp, chomp.
Mm-mm.
Get a bowl with deadly cannabis.
Well, yeah, I don't know. There are some people, you put the word cannabis in there, they're going to dive headfirst into it. Howie is true. Clams and oysters are good, provided you're not living on the West Coast.
Right.
They're
And
slightly irradiated right at the moment.
And also
Hey,
red
Scan
tide.
family.
And a lot of the stuff, the problems they have on the West Coast, they have those algae blooms out in the ocean, and crab season sometimes is delayed a month, 2 months, 3 months.
Well, and it's another thing you have to consider too, especially, down in Florida, north of where Courtney lives, up in the Great Lakes, they get some pretty severe algae blooms.
The Great Lakes is disgusting. I don't think I would ever eat anything out of Lake Erie.
Right,
it caught on fire once.
Right, especially around Toledo. It's really bad.
Yeah. Disgusting. and then every year you hear okay, last year people went swimming and they got a bunch of skin diseases and stuff because they went swimming in Lake Erie.
I thought it was more funnier than that. That lady went swimming in Lake Erie and got hit by 5 lampreys.
What?
Do you know what a lamprey is?
No.
Dave knows what I'm talking about.
What is that?
It's like an eel
Oh, okay.
that bores into your skin and drink your blood.
Oh, okay. And they have the teeth all the way around. Yeah. I know what they are.
So in other words, it's a cross between a leech and a eel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with teeth. And this lady was screaming because she only went to 3 feet of water, and all of a sudden these lampreys, doon, 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 like Jaws, and just latched onto her.
Oh my gosh, that had to have hurt.
No, it made the evening news. She had quarter-sized wounds on her legs.
Oh my gosh.
But lamprey is also very tasty if you cook them right.
And see, now out there in chat, we got all kinds of people spouting off, which is a good thing. Don't take it the wrong way, about little tidbits of information. Which, if you're all paying attention to the chat, which it looks like you are, you'll be learning something new every few minutes. If you haven't learned something new today, you have failed your job. So, if not, let's go get a book.
Get classes. Learn from a person who knows what he's talking about. Don't go out there and like, oh, these mushrooms growing out of the cow patties, they're purple. I'll eat them. No. Next thing you know, there's a naked guy in your cow pasture. What the hell is he doing?
Good
Hi,
evening, Sarah.
Boss.
Hi, Sarah. Hey, Scam family.
And this is another thing too. If you're living near your family and poop hit the oscillating device and everybody's without, you're not only having to forage for yourself, but maybe you're the strongest person, the most adept and most active. You're the one that's got to go out there and forage for, well, like in this case here, 8 people. So, I mean, it really will behoove you to go out and get the books you need to provide not only for yourself, but your family.
Mm-hmm.
And Lori, I don't believe that.
Food forests at this point can also be really good for you too, because if you have a healthy food forest going on, you can use that.
That's why Howie is probably far better off than the rest of us right now when it comes to having greens and stuff to eat for the foreseeable future. If he never leaves his house again, he'll stay healthy, which is why I agree with his premise of creating a food forest.
Yeah, we're working on it. I just had, my neighbor's youth group came over and helped us with our giant mulch pile that we got from that chipdrop.com or whatever. They finally dropped it like a whole truckload off of mulch. So they like about 20, I had about 20 to 30 Amish kids in my front yard shoveling the wood chips for us because my husband can't do it because of his arm. So they put that all around our trees and around our blueberry bushes, and it was neat. And then they got it done literally in like a half hour. I couldn't believe it. There were so many kids. I was so grateful.
You ever watch Amish put up a barn?
Yep.
Yes, in one day. It's amazing.
Do you know how many pies and stews they eat while doing that? A lot.
And Disabled brings up another very valid point. When you're out harvesting, you're out foraging for food. If you think, oh, this little bit will keep me happy, you better double that. Because when you start cooking stuff down, it shrinks really fast, especially wild stuff. Stuff that Monsanto hasn't gotten a hold of yet. Oh, did I bring up GMO? Oops, sorry. My bad. GMO food will kill you eventually because it's taking out the vitamins, the minerals, the nutrients that we've been getting since God created the earth up until recently when some man decided, oh, that's not good for you. You don't need magnesium in your system. Our bodies depend on magnesium.
Makes you wonder about stupid little things like milk, right? They pasteurize milk, which I understand I understand that, but then they fortify it afterwards with vitamin D and all of that stuff. Like, how is that good for you?
Well, they pasteurize it so it'll last longer. That's the reason.
The pasteurization process removes the vitamin D.
And then they add it back in.
They got to put it back in.
Natural, they put in synthetic vitamin D, which won't. Natural vitamin D is one of the things that'll make regular cow's milk spoil, along with the other vitamins and stuff in it. So they take out all the natural stuff and they put in man-made stuff because synthetic doesn't spoil as fast as natural.
Correct. And you could get pasteurizations for tabletop use for goat's milk or cow's milk if you want to do it at home, because certain states won't let you sell dairy product if it isn't pasteurized. Because we had that big, remember that soft cheese, Gil or Will and Dave? They sold in Ohio that everybody got botulism. It's organic. and then everybody got botulism.
Hmm.
That brought a big stink. That's why you had these tabletop pasteurization units. Because after that, I forget, what was that, a dairy festival, and they were handing out free samples?
There's a couple of them that they finally got shut down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like Howie's comment.
That one?
Yep.
I'm already on it.
Mm-hmm.
And see, this brings up another good point too. Most of us are old enough to we're parents and grandparents now, but our parents and grandparents went through the Depression, went through really hard times. So they grew up in an era where they had nothing, and if they weren't going out looking for it, they didn't eat.
Yeah, my mom was born in 1922. She was a Depression latchkey kid because about the time that the Depression started, my grandmother had gotten a divorce from Orville, and because he was cheating around on her, and then the Depression hit. So she was working, and my mom was taking care of herself and her younger sister.
So, you know, our parents tried teaching most of us, and some of us listened, some of us didn't, on how to can, grow food, not play with the girls or boys, depending on your gender. I'm not trying to dissuade or pick on anyone. Everybody's guilty of it at one point in time. We decided our parents, because we were young and thought we knew it all, decided our parents didn't know what they were talking about, and we could handle it. Now that we're all much older, except Courtney here, she's a young pup up here. We are all repeating what our parents told us. And we made ACB, we made a comment back when we were younger. I ain't going to sound like my mom or dad. And here we are repeating their very words to our children.
Now, folks, remember, Dave brings up good points and the chat brings up good points. You have to be careful when you're doing gardening, hunting, fishing, raising animals, foraging, trapping, and bartering stuff. Or you're going to go fall into the Zimbabwe effect, because that's my next video. A lot of people goof it up. They don't have the experience. They don't know what they're doing. Or like, I shot a deer. No, you shot my cow. Where's $5,000, buckwheat?
Or you shot my prize breeding bull. Where's my $25,000?
For the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So get the experience from an older person like Dave, Gil, or me before you go out there and do anything. I went fishing, Uncle. What did you catch? A $200 fishing line. They arrested me. Can you bail me out? Oh, boy.
And Howie brings up a point, chewing pitch of the fir tree, the sap. But there are other parts of pine trees, and another good tree is the willow tree. Guess where aspirin originally came from? The willow tree.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a natural aspirin, now I'm not going to tell you how to do it, because if I say so and say how you're supposed to do it, and you screw it up, then I get in trouble. Not dealing with that. Go get a book and learn how to do it yourself. I got a book back here that tells me how to do it.
There might even be a YouTube by a doctor or a pharmacist on how to do it.
Hey, I know a doctor.
Yes, he's coming on there in 2 weeks.
Right. Doc Bones.
On the 11th. But see, that night we're discussing Stop the Bleed.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, on the rocks, folks, you have to be careful what rocks you're boiling. If you boil the ones with a green tint or in green tint and gold, and it's in quartz, you're boiling arsenic.
Cool. Save that bowl of water for somebody you don't like. I mean, I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm kidding. Not serious.
All right. Along the same thoughts, though, when my wife was pregnant with our first child, the doctor told her that she was iron deficient. She needs a switch from cooking in aluminum pans to cooking in cast iron. Because when you cook in cast iron, it draws out a little bit of the iron out. and it's a lot better than iron vitamin pills.
Hmm. Yeah, I had to take a lot of iron when I was pregnant, and it would kill my stomach.
Well, learn to cook with iron, Courtney. That'll solve the problem.
Hmm.
And here's something else y'all can do because we haven't discussed it yet. Just a second here.
I'm heading out.
Boom. All right, we'll see you in a bit.
Okay.
Don't worry about the cambium network thingy, but if you look here, there is a layer inside of most trees that is edible, and it is called cambium. It is full of nutrients, and if you're the kind of person that likes to have something to put in their cheek and kind of chew on during the day, this right here will give you nutrients. It'll give you something to chew on. It'll take the hunger pangs away. You know, it's good for you.
Right, but don't do it like the guy on the loan who cut it at Cambrian and dried it and ate tons and tons without soaking it and chewing it first. And they had to medically evacuate him because his stomach expanded. Because dry Cambrian, once it's in your stomach and you drink water, guess what happens? Like and that was on season 7 of Alone.
Hey, Heritage Heartland.
Hello, Heritage Heartland.
Or Heritage Heart Homestead.
Homestead, yeah. I'm just following Dave's lead.
Hey, don't follow me. You're liable to get caught in the back of a cave somewhere, and it'll be scary.
Yes, I did see the black bean recall.
No.
Yeah, it's S&W organic beans. It's from the Costco brand line. You have to be careful because they have a botulism scare going on. I got the code. Go check Alaskan Prepper and also the Costco hotline. They will give you the code of which serial number it is. Mine's safe because I bought mine before December, and that's all tucked away, and it's not in that code region. So check your codes on the bottom of the cans, folks.
Even the dog agrees.
And the dogs agree.
All right, so folks, we're going to start to wind this one down. Again, May 11th here on my channel, we will have Doc Bones and Nurse Amy on again. I can't thank them enough for coming back up, and we're going to be discussing Stop the Bleed, how to stop severe bleeding. We all can do boo-boos, but can you take care of a gash in your arm or your leg or your gut? We're going to be discussing the proper ways to deal with that kind of stuff. And that takes actual training. It's not something you can you're not going to learn everything you need to know in the 1 hour we're going to have or whatever. But it's going to give you a good basis to move on forward with in order to do it if you need it. I've had the training, but you know what? I enjoy a good refresher course. And that's the way we should all be thinking. We may know something. We may know how to, make a fire. But if you don't go out and practice it constantly and keep refreshing it, make it muscle memory, when you need it the most, you could fail. And we don't want nobody here to fail. So with that being said, Al, do you have any last words?
No, I'm going to go over to Gil's site. So I'll catch you guys over there.
Miss Courtney?
Nope, I don't have any.
Okie dokie.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, Dave.
No problem. Thank you.
See y'all later.
So everybody go get your drinks, go do your little potty break, whatever, and head over to Gil's when you're done, and we'll see everybody over at Gil's channel, Camp Pat and Family Compound. And if you came in late, go back later on and watch it from the beginning. And we covered some other information at the very beginning. So until next time, be safe. We'll see you Friday.